With the brand new Gundam series, The Witch from Mercury, releasing in the fall anime season, a prologue was dropped online that really sets the stage for the story, characters, and what we can expect from this series. And today I want to discuss my thoughts on this prologue and how much potential this series has moving forward. But before I get into my thoughts, make sure to head on down to the comment section below. I want to hear what you thought of this prologue. Are you more excited? Are you less excited for the series? If you weren't excited for the series already, has this sold you on it? And while you're there, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on this video. Also subscribe if you're a fan of anime and Japanese gaming. If you're excited for The Witch from Mercury, I'm going to be covering this weekly on the channel. And especially after this prologue, I am very excited to talk about it. Alright, so now let's get into my thoughts. And first of all, I gotta say, this is absolutely phenomenal. This prologue, it does everything right. All it really needs to do is sell you on the series, but it goes above and beyond in that regard. And if the series is going to be anything like this prologue, it could potentially be the best anime series of the year. And when you think about what we have coming up in the fall season, this is one that I think people really need to look out for, because not a lot of people are going to talk about it. As big as a franchise Gundam is, I don't think like mainstream anime audiences are gonna really be watching this series, if I'm being honest, especially when you got things like Chainsaw Man, Mob Psycho 103, Spy Family returning, My Hero Academia Season 6, Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, a lot of stuff that to me anyway is far more mainstream than what Gundam really is, which is a shame to think about, but let's face it, people don't talk about Gundam as much as they do like some of the newest and best shonen series. However, I think if people watch this prologue, there's going to be a lot more people that will actually watch the series. As for the prologue itself, I'll go through kind of the story setup and kind of what it is setting up for not only this prologue but the series moving forward. So within the world of The Witch from Mercury, most humans are against the use of Gundams, as they directly impact upon the health of human beings in order to use them. Essentially, anyone who pilots one becomes a human sacrifice. A research station is attempting to get one to work, with their timescale increasingly getting smaller due to the council, until eventually a military group is sent in to kill the team involved. So that's your basic setup of the world, and I guess like the villainous organizations that you've got going on, and once again it is diving into like the political side of war, which Gundam does a lot. And of course, the biggest thing within Gundam is the consequences of war. That's what Gundam is always about. It's not just about big robots fighting, it has much more depth to it. And at the core of this setup, you have this family of three, being the mother, the father, and then the daughter. Now, the mother is like the test pilot for this brand new Gundam. The father, I believe, is already flying mobile suits and doing technical work and all that kind of stuff. So right out of the gate, you do have this human connection. You can instantly connect with the characters within here. And yeah, this prologue has a lot of emotion to it. It has a lot of heart, I guess, as well. But there's one scene in particular that I think is simply phenomenal. And it's where Eri, who is the daughter, she unlocks Gundam Elfrith for the first time. And the look on her mother's face as this happens, as she's realising exactly what's going on here, it's priceless. It is such a phenomenal scene, because the mother is realising now that her daughter's fate has been sealed. She is going to become a pilot of a mass weapon of war and get sucked into this life, which presumably she didn't want to happen. Things continue to get even worse for Elnora, the mother, when Eri begins to shoot down a bunch of enemy mobile suits. What's nice about this scene, I guess, in a way, is that there's still that childlike innocence where Eri is referring to them as looking like candles because it's been a birthday and she's just had a cake. And at that moment, Elnora kind of realises that she's still a kid. She doesn't really understand what's going on. That's the kind of stuff they'll think about later, but it's still really tragic to think about, because you see Elnora watching this stuff and seeing, my daughter is blowing people up. It's really quite tragic, but also at the same time, there is a certain beauty to it in the childlike innocence. Now, out of this entire prologue, I think everything is at its best within this scene, but across the board, the animation, the action, and the OST in particular are all top tier. This is phenomenal animation, phenomenal action sequences. When we get to the Gundam stuff where they're in space, there's so much detail into like shooting these mobile suits down, and the fact that there's lasers flying from different directions, the mobile suits are being knocked in these different directions rather than just a static explosion. It's these little details that, really make things feel much more tangible and just far more interesting to watch. And the OST is godlike. I don't know who's done the score. I don't think it's Hiroyuki Sawano, who is pretty well known for doing a lot of other Gundam scores, but I think it's someone else's time around. But whoever it is, I hope they're doing the rest of the series, and I hope it's as good as this, because we could be looking at a real gem of a soundtrack. Now, the way I'm going to look at this prologue is that it's essentially a sales pitch for the series. It's trying to sell you on watching the rest of the series. And as far as that goes, this nails it. It sold me on it, and I struggle to believe that if you watch this prologue, you will not be sold on it. I am 100% certain, or we'll say 90% certain, that anyone who watches this will be at least interested to carry on and watch the main series when it releases. But this truly does everything right. The story setup's there, the character setup's there, the action's there, the animation's there, the OST's there. Everything this needs to do as a setup for a series, as I guess a bit of a story in and of itself, it does, and it does it in the best way possible. I cannot think of a better way they could have set up this series. Before I get out of here though, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on this video. Also subscribe if you're a fan of anime and Japanese gaming, and if you're excited for Witch from Mercury, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know exactly when my reviews for each and every episode of this series go up. Most importantly though, I want to hear what you thought of this prologue. Head on down to the comment section below. Are you now even more sold on it than you were before? What was your favourite moment within the prologue? You guys know what mine was. It is the scene where Eri unlocks the Gundam for the first time. Simply phenomenal and one of my favourite anime scenes of the year. But as always, thank you so much for tuning into mchat today, and I'll see you all in the next video.